Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 329. This week, we have an airline block of stories. What the hell, Paris? Bibi in the U.S. Newsom finally thinks the homeless are a problem. A tragedy in Wyoming. And Biden's quote-unquote live address. I'm Dave Roberts. With us is my partner in this endeavor, Ken Pullen.
Oh, how are you, Dave?
I'm doing pretty damn good, man. How are you doing?
Hey, good week. Yeah, it was good. We've just been getting a lot of rain lately. We went through that spell where I didn't have to cut grass for a month, and now I had to cut grass every 2 or 3 days because of all the rain we've had lately. It's a good thing I haven't put any fertilizer down.
Yeah, it's a business killer for me because, you know, when the highs are in the 80s, I mean, it's muggy as hell, but your air conditioner, bad air conditioner survives when it's 80. It just doesn't survive when it's 98.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're one of those guys that don't cut his own grass, so you probably couldn't relate to what I just talked about. But, us people, us middle-class people have to cut our own grass sometimes.
Middle class.
Mental. I think it's called the mental class.
So after we record, you're going to pick your boy up from your trip to D.C.
Yeah, Luke's been at a YAF conference all week in D.C., and he heard a lot of really good speakers. He heard the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, spoke to him one night. Dennis Prager spoke to him. They had a whole cast of characters up in D.C. speak to him. So, yeah, he had a good time flying back in from D.C. on last Saturday. Yeah, he's a big fan. He's a big fan of YAF. I think I told you. I probably told the listeners too. He did all the he did a conference circus or whatever last summer. Circuit where he went to YAL, he went to YAF, and he went to Turning Points. And I think YAF is more substance over. YAL was. I love the YAL guys. I mean, it's your hardcore fringe, like small L libertarians, and then Turning Points is all the really the hardcore Trump supporters out there, but YAF is more policy based. So yeah, it's a good little organization.
Did you make up a sign for him that says "Congratulations, Luke, on your parole"?
I should do that because we're going to pick him up at the airport. I may get a poster board. That would be. Hey, that's a great idea.
So speaking of airlines. Southwest is going to end 50 years of open boarding.
Good. Isn't this a good chat? I heard this last week. I was a big, I don't fly Southwest because I'm not a fan of open boarding. What about you?
I do not like open boarding. I've never flown Southwest. The seats are uncomfortable. From everything I've read, it's just not. I understand they try to make everything fun, and it's their stock ticker is LUV, love. Yeah, they started off as the fun airline.
I don't want my airline to be fun. I want it to get me from point A to point B, and I want to be comfortable.
I want to put my noise canceling headphones on. Shut up,
and I want to know where my seat is.
Yeah, and go to sleep. Yeah, exactly. Hell, when I go and buy tickets, I look at the seat map. Where do we want to sit?
Oh, 100%. I've even picked different planes at certain times because of the seat map.
And then they change the equipment on you.
Yeah, but I mean, the open boarding to me has always been a kind of a weird concept. But Southwest, I think if you look at the airlines between like a Frontier or a Spirit, Southwest definitely doesn't play into the same crowd that those airlines play to, but it's also it's not up there with the Delta Airlines of the world. So to me, Southwest is kind of right in the middle of Delta and Spirit.
Well, you also have mid-tier, like I hate to say American is mid-tier, United, that kind of stuff that aren't as expensive as Delta, but they still have premium products.
Right.
So, yeah, they started off they were the original, low fare leader. I mean, one way for $59. Yep. They're still going to offer checked bags free. They're also going to start offering red-eye flights.
Yeah, I saw that. And red-eye flight is, typically when you're flying from the West Coast back to the East Coast late in the afternoon. So these red-eye flights will leave California and Las Vegas or Washington State somewhere around 11 to 12 at night. And then since you're losing 3 to 4 hours, and the plane's 4 hours, you get to Atlanta first thing in the morning. I think those are the most miserable flights that you could have. But there's, I have done to Vegas where I stay there all day long and, gamble all day, go to the airport at 11 and get on that red eye. But it hurts you for a couple days after that.
It really does. And I've done the exact same thing flying back from Vegas is play all day.
Oh, it's
leave
painful.
Your bags. Yeah. Leave your bags with the concierge or the bell.
Yeah,
desk,
that's right.
And play all day. And of course you've been drinking all day too, as you're playing. And then take the car to the airport, get on the flight. It's like, oh, I'll sleep. No. I'll sleep and get up and go to work in the morning. No,
there's no chance.
No. I mean,
it's a little bit better than flying overnight to Europe, but it's still brutal if because you just don't have enough time. You have like 4 hours on the plane. You really don't have time to get any sleep if you can sleep on a plane. I've never been able to do that, but I'm not a big fan of the red eyes.
Well, even coming back from Vegas, by the time you hear meal service come around, you're only going to get 2 hours of sleep.
Yep.
Max. I mean, if you can pass out the minute they clear your tray.
Yeah, and I don't do that. I just don't sleep well. We are flying to San Francisco in October, but I thought about doing a red eye, and then I decided against it.
Yeah, and so the research indicates that 80% of Southwest customers and 86% of potential customers, which is the big number, the 86% of potentials, prefer assigned seats.
Yes, right.
And look, Southwest has been playing this game, apparently, where you can pay for early boarding.
And it's to pay for early boarding. You still don't have a seat, but you sort of get your choice of the plane at that point.
And you get your overhead bin and all that stuff.
And the problem is most travelers want the aisle seat. If you're like me, if you're in the back, I want the aisle seat. So I did fly Southwest one time in my life, and I got on towards the end or kind of middle. And when I looked down the row, every single aisle seat was taken. And then what you've got is this problem where the other people getting on after you are having to say, hey, can I get in? And those people are having to get up. And it's kind of a weird situation when everybody is on the aisle seat and then everybody's having to get up or let people in.
I have heard a theory that boarding should not be by row or by section. It should be, obviously, you board the front, the first class, and then comfort. But then you go everybody A, B, C. That way you're filling from the outside in.
That actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't think they've ever done that. It does make a lot of sense.
It does until you're traveling with a family of 3 and you have the entire row.
Yeah, and then all the guys on the aisle, there's no overhead space left anymore. I mean, that's right. If you're a business traveler or a frequent business traveler, you value getting on that plane early so you can get your bag in the overhead and don't have to potentially check it. Because most people, I mean, even when I'm flying in and out of New York or Chicago, it's all about just getting on that plane, putting your bag in the overhead and getting off as fast as possible and not having to check a bag.
It's not just that, especially after the debacle, and we'll get to that a little bit, that happened earlier this month. The people who didn't check a bag were laughing.
Right.
Because when they said, hey, I won't say they were laughing, but your flight's canceled, here's your hotel voucher. They were gone. Everybody else is like, my toothbrush is in my checked bag.
Yep.
So, on the way to the hotel, they're trying to get a Walmart that's open 24 hours so they can get a dadgum toothbrush. But speaking of Southwest, holy crap, that's low. At least 4 miles out from TPA, Tampa Airport, a Southwest jet was as low as 150 feet off the ground when it should have been at least 1,000. And
when you're talking about 150 feet, that's literally 50 yards, half of a football field. This plane was over the ground. That's amazing. At the speeds those guys are going too. I guess when you're leaving the airport, you're still going 200 or 300 miles an hour at that point, right?
Yeah. They were coming in for an approach. They were rerouted to FLL, Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a long way away. I mean, Fort Lauderdale's not close to Tampa.
It is by airplane.
Yeah, but it feels like you would be rerouted to Orlando before Tampa. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. But can you imagine how many drawers had to be cleaned?
Yeah, I mean, the
after
ground
that?
had to be shaken too. That is so low.
You're talking about you're shaking windows.
Yes, right.
And there are buildings taller than 150 feet.
So I wonder
Lots
what
of
the
them.
people on the plane thought when they're 4 miles out and they're only 150 feet off the ground. Because
They don't know how far out they are. They just know they're on approach.
yeah, they also know they're really, really low.
Well, yeah, but it's, Southwest doesn't have IFE and flight entertainment. We're on a Delta flight. You can put flight tracker on and see that you're 4 miles out from the airport, and look out the window, and you can see the license plates on the cars underneath you.
So you're telling me you don't get to pick your seat on Southwest, and you also don't have a TV?
That's my understanding.
Whew, the horror. How do people manage?
Remember when they used to have the magazine and newspaper bank at the front of the airplane?
Yes. And everybody looked at the magazine.
Yeah, you'd have the USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, and probably a local paper like out of you had the AJC or something like that. They were at the front of the plane. Then you'd have Life magazine,
But I also remember people smoked on planes. Also,
oh yeah.
So I've been around when people had the ashtrays and all that kind of good stuff.
And then it moved. At one point, you could fly. You could smoke at the front and the back, so first class and all the way in the tail. Then it was just in the tail.
That's amazing. Can you imagine the flight attendants back in those days? They had to hate people smoking.
Or they were. You're talking about everybody. A lot of people smoked back then. So the flight attendants would take their break and close the curtain on the galley and smoke themselves. The pilots were smoking in the cockpit.
That is so funny.
So continuing with air travel theme, Delta. So we talked about it last show that several airlines, almost all airline servers, were down thanks to CrowdStrike. But Delta was the only one whose woes went on for, almost 2 weeks?
I couldn't believe how long this lasted. My mom was flying last Friday to Seattle. She was, she got really nervous. But it lasted for 2 weeks. They just got Delta all their service going like last Thursday. So 4 days ago is when the service actually just got back. And everybody else was fine. It feels like a week before, but boy, it really got Delta.
It was the scheduling software.
Yeah, the question. Go ahead.
And the CrowdStrike also was responsible for Delta's scheduling software. So when that went down, crews couldn't call in to figure out where they're supposed to be. There's an app that flight crews use to say, okay, because when you wake up in the morning, you may think that you're going to Phoenix and find out you're going to Anchorage. So you check your apps. Okay, I'm going to gate A39, whatever, and working this flight. And then when I get to my destination, my turnaround, I'm going from Atlanta to LA to Vegas, Vegas to Tacoma, something like that. It's all on the app. That app was down, so pilots had no idea where to go. They had crews stuck all over the world with no idea how to get home. And if you think as being a customer is frustrating, you're being yelled at as you're in uniform in the airport, and you have no idea what the hell's going on.
I know. I'm really interested. So I was talking with one of my business friends this week and said CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike is a publicly traded company on the I guess they're on either the New York or NASDAQ. I don't know which one it is, but they're actually on the NASDAQ. So they're traded on NASDAQ. Their stock's down 33% in the last couple of weeks. And I wondered if I love buying stocks when some event like this occurs, because I think typically there's an overreaction to something like this occurring. And I said, their stock went down 33%. But then I was talking to one of my business friends. And he said, well, we haven't even got to the bad stuff with CrowdStrike yet, because can you imagine the lawsuits that are going to come back to CrowdStrike and the amount of dollars they're going to have to pay out to companies like Delta and others that were affected by this? Now, I don't know how ironclad their agreements or contracts were, or I know all the agreements that you sign with companies like this, they have certain amounts of money that get paid back, and it's not like just unlimited. But I'm sure CrowdStrike's going to be on the hook for a ton of money over the next 2 to 3 years. I'm still thinking about purchasing at this point, but I think CrowdStrike's going to have a tough time. And then people like Delta are going to look elsewhere. It's going to make them put mitigation strategies in place or have backups when events like this occur.
Well, they need to. Look, as a Delta shareholder, Delta's paying billions out. They're paying for travel expenses. They're reimbursing people who had to rent cars to get where they're going. They're reimbursing Ubers, hotel rooms, meals, clothing. Look, if you arrive in Paris for the Olympics, but your bags are in Cleveland, and they have no plan to get your bag to you, like normally they'd say, okay, go out and get yourself some basic amenities and we'll reimburse you. But if you're there, if you're supposed to be in Paris for 2 weeks and your bag's just not going to make it, you have to get yourself an entire wardrobe plus a bag to carry it in.
Yep.
And Delta's reimbursing for that. Now, can you go to the Versace store? No. No, you can't go. My watch was in there, and I had 4 Rolexes in there. No, that's
no. I saw where one of the AJC reporters, Greg Bluestein, was flying back in from Chicago, maybe, or either Milwaukee. Maybe it was on the tail end of the RNC convention. His bag went down into the Caribbean somewhere, like to Jamaica. So he was flying from up north to Atlanta. His bag goes to the Caribbean. I mean, it's truly amazing. And then Delta, I don't know if he still got it back, but that was some craziness going on.
And look, the employees were outstanding. Employees that have no customer facing responsibilities were getting in vehicles and delivering bags to people.
Yep.
It was all hands on deck. Delta said, all overtime is approved. Just do it. And these poor gate agents, one of them, I read the story, was being yelled at. She had to go pick her kid up. She already worked her overtime and she had to go get her kid. And when she, left and was heading, everybody's yelling, where are you going? Where are you going? People are ugly to these customer facing folks.
There's no telling what these guys took. Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's not like the Redcoat has any authority over whether your plane's there.
Yep.
So Ed Bastian, who's the CEO of Delta, arrived in Paris Wednesday morning on a commercial flight. But this is towards the end of the crisis. But and Delta's a huge sponsor of the Olympics. Especially the USA Olympic team. Delta's got planes painted for the Olympic team and all that stuff. Is it tone deaf? Should he have probably waited till Thursday night to go into Friday morning to go opening ceremonies and kind of push that off?
Yeah, I think I would have pushed it off for a couple of days or snuck over there somehow. I think it's a little tone deaf right on the tail end of this. I think you want to be perceived as being on the ground in Atlanta or probably wherever your biggest hub is and
at the helm, so to speak.
At the helm, right? Not flying to the opening day of the Olympics.
And look, this did not pass people on the internet. The Sky Miles Life group and all that stuff. And they're talking about Ed trying to get hold of it. Like, well, Ed can't. He's in Paris.
Yep. No, I don't think it's a good look at all.
And on the subject of a-hole passengers, 2 quote unquote TikTokers decided to take their revenge on Delta by going to the Sky Club and getting, piling up as much food as they could, ordering glasses of wine, pouring them out. Guy went in the shower and filmed himself just turning the shower on hot. In the International Sky Clubs, there are showers. Turn the shower as hot as he could and just standing there, just watching the water run, just emptying out hand sanitizer. Like, I don't understand what the point other than they want those clicks because everybody is infatuated with getting clicks. Just you're an a-hole.
It is. Yeah, he is definitely an a-hole. But 2 things. Yeah, it is all about the clicks, like you said, and he is also an a-hole. I don't know how people are praising these 2 idiots on TikTok, but you know how TikTok is nowadays. It's all about the clicks, and then they make these YouTube videos and they get paid on YouTube. But this is silly. It's totally silly.
It's petty.
Yep.
Look, if you're lucky enough to have access to the Sky Club, and honestly, with being somebody who has access to the Sky Club, if the airport's that busy, you're lucky enough to find a seat.
Yep.
Now, look, if you go to the Sky Club, there has to be two of you when they're busy because someone has to watch your seat. Because if you get up and you look like you're leaving, like you can't take your laptop with you because you don't want someone to steal it, as soon as you come back from the buffet, someone's in your chair.
Yep. Now, I don't know if you saw, but Delta did give all their people that were affected by this 12,000 Sky Miles. That prompted one of the consumer protection agencies to come out and actually say how much Sky Miles were, actually worth. I think we both know this, but it's a little over a penny per Sky Mile. So they basically reimburse people about $125 outside of the cost of the Ubers, like you said earlier, and clothing and stuff like that. So Delta basically gave people a big fat check for $125.
Plus you can get 10,000 for your bag not arriving on time. Plus. If you knew how to work the Sky Miles whiny part of it, you could capitalize a little bit on it. And I think it's petty. Like I know people who will time the minute the door opens to get running to baggage claim. If their bag's not there at exactly the minute, they're already on their app going, my bag wasn't delivered on time. Give me my Sky Miles.
Yep.
All right, back on the subject of the Olympics.
Speaking of the Olympics.
What the hell, Paris?
I don't know this story. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff on the internet last night about this, but basically one of the opening scenes of the Olympics last Friday night was a crew of drag queens and dancers really did a parody of the Last Supper, which is Jesus and his apostles. And they there was 12 of them. They put on the whole show and they dressed up. This is drag queen people again. I don't understand where this came from. I don't understand who thought it was a good idea to mock Jesus and the apostles in the opening to the Olympics. Like, where are you going with this, and why are you so triggered? I guess why are Christians so triggering to the look? It's not even an LGBT community; it's the T community. Like, why?
No, it's not the T community. The trans community. Most of the trans people want to live their lives. Most of them just want to live their lives.
I think so. I mean, I think you're right. But to do this, it even brings more attention to that community, and it gets people upset about it. So I don't know what the point is with doing this. And there was a lot of outrage on the internet about what they did last week.
It's also over-sexualized.
It is 100% over-sexualized.
And first of all, the opening ceremonies were like 5 hours.
Yeah, I didn't watch 1 minute of it, but I saw
I
this.
didn't watch it. You can mark me safe from watching any of the Olympics.
Yep, I saw. Elon Musk he slammed the performance, saying it was extremely disrespectful to Christians. Harrison Buckner, who's the Kansas City Chiefs kicker that we talked about earlier this year on the show, he called it crazy, and even French religious officials denounced the performance as a mockery of Christianity. And I said to you earlier, can you imagine if they would have mocked Muhammad or some other major political figure in another religion? I mean, they would never mock anybody in the Muslim religion, right? Why do they go after Christianity? Maybe it's easy to go after it. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, because we don't blow anything up.
Yep.
How about mocking the Palestinians?
Yeah. No, this was just silly. I don't know why they would choose to do this.
They also introduced the South Korean team as North Korea.
That's not good.
They were fairly upset about that. They've only been at war for 70 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I mean, there haven't been hostilities since 1953, 54, something like that. But they are officially at war, just in a ceasefire.
Yep. But
just the whole thing from the stuff that I've seen on the internet and seen on the news is the whole thing was just odd, where everybody came in on boats instead of marching through the stadium. Yeah. And everything was outside. It was raining. The trains weren't running because people set fires on the tracks.
Yes, I saw that.
I mean, Paris is not showing its best side. And look, I don't know. They could have just done a classy thing. And if you want to have and two drag queens, I think, ran with the torch, which I don't care about. I don't care who runs with the torch. It was kind of cool that the paralyzed dude with the robot legs carried the torch for a while. I think that's very cool. It shows off French innovation because it's a French company that did it. You know, that's classy.
It is. It is.
But everything else they did was apparently was just an absolute S show.
Yeah, and it's just to get a reaction from people. And
and even members of French Parliament came out and said, "Whoa, this is not French.
No,
this is not France.
It's not French at all." And look, and the reaction on, you know, I've been looking at Facebook today. I mean, some of my friends are like, "Can't we all just get along?" Well, not really. And it kind of goes back to a book that Eric Erickson wrote. And I think the title of the book, let me look real quick, is They Will Make You Care, I think was the title of the book. And Eric's point is, if you sit back and continue to allow this, the left is going to make you care about what's going on because they're going to continue to push it down your throat. And, you know, it's just going to be a nonstop. So this is just silly. It's like me and you. We don't feel animosity towards anybody. I just want to live my life. I want other people to live their life, but I also don't want this type of stuff pushed down our throat every time you turn around.
Yeah, look, if it's on TV, do I watch RuPaul's drag show? No. Do I care that it's on TV and people watch it? No. It's just not really my thing.
And also, don't tell me the T community is being marginalized or the drag queens are being marginalized when you turn on your TV in June and the whole month is dedicated to the LGBTQ community. And nobody's being marginalized in the United States, and Christians especially are not coming after the LGBTQ community. So I just don't get why they would choose to do this.
Go wear that stuff in Afghanistan.
Yeah,
then tell me what marginalization means.
Yep, exactly.
All right, so we have Bibi Netanyahu addressed Congress, I think last Wednesday.
Yeah, he did, yep.
Harris couldn't be bothered to show up.
Yeah, she's still, I know she's the presumptive Democrat candidate, but she's still the president of the Senate. And usually anytime a foreign dignitary comes in and speaks to a joint House of Congress, the Speaker of the House is there sitting behind the Speaker. And then the president of the Senate is there back, just like when a president has a State of the Union address. It's the same setup. So yeah, she chose not to be bothered. She didn't show up. I think there were about 100 Democrats that didn't show up. And I think the only notable Republican that didn't show up for a speech was Thomas Massey. I don't necessarily disagree with what Thomas said, but I also think he owes the respect to the Israel president to be there, even if you don't disagree with him. Like the Democrats that didn't show up hate Israel, right? I don't think Thomas hates Israel, but have some respect.
Have respect for the institution to which you were elected.
Yep, exactly.
It's one of the things that have a problem with Fetterman wearing his Carhartt hoodie around. Is not that I mind that's his style, that he wants to be a man of the people and everything else, but have a little respect for the institution to which you were elected.
Yep.
You weren't drafted into it. You spent a lot of money and a lot of effort getting this job. If I applied to a bank and I worked my butt off and got my resume, got hired, and I showed up in a Carhartt and cargo shorts, no, because I need to have respect for the institution that hired me.
Yep, exactly.
But that was extremely disrespectful. Then Netanyahu had a private meeting with Harris, and then she came out and read him for filth, saying, stop this war, and talked about the Palestinian children that are dying and everything else. She sounded like the people that are outside burning crap.
But I don't know if you saw her state. So, yeah, Kamala, I guess is the proper way of saying it. She did some interesting things this week, and also some things that make me nervous about this election. I think like all of us, I think Trump was going to beat Biden. I think he was going to win 45, 46 states. I think it was going to be a clear runaway. Democrats are energized now that Harris is the presumptive nominee. And what you were just referring to is after the Israeli president spoke, people like protesters, and they got bussed in, by the way. I don't know if you saw the video of like all these protesters getting wheeled in buses, which means it was set up by some organization, right? Somebody paid all these protesters to do this, but they took down the flag, put up the Hamas flag, or a Palestinian flag, and then they burned the American flag, and they also drug a police officer around on the ground. She did condemn that. She said that had no place in the United States, and while she didn't go to the speech, I thought it was interesting she came out with a condemnation of the protesters. That was tough for her to do because she's fighting for their vote.
Well, she's also portraying herself as the prosecutor against the felons.
She is, yeah.
So she can't do both. And look, you have the right to burn the American flag. I don't particularly like it, but you have the right. You do not have the right to steal government property, take it in the street, and set it on fire.
Yeah, if you want to go buy a flag at the store and burn it, that's your deal. But you can't take somebody else's property and then burn it.
Now, what I found amusing about it is the first person that tore it down and grabs his lighter and realizes you can't just set an all-weather flag on fire without an accelerant. like you moron.
And so
someone finally comes over and puts lighter fluid on it and sets it on fire. But they were spray painting. They were vandalizing everything they could find.
Statues up there, yeah.
Burned everything they could find. And look.
And nobody was arrested. Not one person was arrested that I saw.
I think there were some arrests, and I don't know if it's going to stick.
But they're out by this point. Yeah, even if they were arrested.
But they went back through cell phone video, news coverage, and surveillance video to find every person they possibly could on January 6th.
Oh, 100%. Still, and they're still doing it. They're not done still prosecuting people from January 6th.
So absolutely, they pulled out all the stops. Like January 6th they put more effort into January 6th than they're putting into investigating the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. They pulled out all the stops to find out anybody who is even remotely in the area. So much so that their B of A was giving over bank records of anybody who hit an ATM during that time period in D.C. I mean, they pulled out all the stops, violated the Fourth Amendment every chance they could to track these people down and hang felonies on them, which is essentially criminal trespass.
And again, take this on the other side. If that would have been an LGBTQ plus flag that people would have pulled down, stomped on, and burned, that would be the number one leading story on every news outlet. And I don't know if you've seen these cities that paint the LGBTQ colors on the ground. You know, they use taxpayer dollars to paint in the road. Down in Florida and Miami, where a guy took his tire truck and did, burn out basically on the colors. They're trying to find that guy and prosecute him for vandalism. So again, it's just this huge double standard.
As long as they prosecute anybody that does a burnout on a public road for vandalism, because it is.
It is.
I mean, it is. I mean, leaving rubber on the road is vandalism.
Yep.
But but the fact is, it's disparate treatment, and justice is supposed to be blind. So it doesn't matter if you did a burnout on a plain road or any crosswalk or the rainbow crosswalk. It doesn't matter. Vandalism is vandalism, and you should go after people equally, but they're not.
Yep.
They're pulling out all the stops to find somebody who did a burnout, which is a traffic offense. Oh, Governor Greasy. So Gavin Newsom has finally decided that homeless camps need to go.
And he did this via executive order last week, which was interesting.
Where are these people going?
Yeah, I don't know where they're going. And I don't know if you remember, this comes off of a Supreme Court decision about a month ago that said cities and counties could break up, like people sleeping on public property. So I think he's using that Supreme Court decision to come in and dismantle these. You know, it was interesting. Do you know when the Chinese president came into San Francisco a couple of years ago, and do you remember how they cleaned up all the homeless encampments around the city to make San Francisco look a lot better?
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of the same thing that's happening here. And I was wondering why he's taking initiative to do this last week.
Because Kamala was the DA in San Francisco. She was also the Attorney General for California. And every time they point to San Francisco, and say, this is where she comes from. This is what she stands for. He wants to clean it up.
That's why they're doing it.
So yes, this is strategic as far as the timing. It is within 100 days of the election.
Everything's political.
Yep. This has nothing to do. Look, the homeless people already said, yeah, we'll take down our stuff. They'll move into the hills. And as soon as the push is over, they'll move right back. They're not leaving. I mean, they're homeless. What are they going to do?
They're not going anywhere.
Are they going to walk through Death Valley? There's no way out. I mean, or go north to Oregon. I mean, I guess if you're in San Fran, it's only a few 100-mile trek, over some hard terrain to get up into Oregon or go up to Washington. I don't know where these people are supposed to go.
I don't either. I really don't.
And I'm not overly sympathetic, but they created the situation. They welcomed all these folks in.
Yeah, right.
With open arms. Especially L.A., San Diego. You're talking about places with perfect weather every day. They don't have harsh winters. L.A. does get chilly, but it doesn't get New York City cold.
Yep.
So to me, it's amazing that all of a sudden, and we know why it is, but all of a sudden he's concerned with the homeless problem.
Yep.
And look, honestly, California loves having the homeless there, and I'll tell you why. They are counted in the census. Mm-hmm. So they are. So when
illegals are also, I mean, yeah.
Right. Exactly right. So if you're bringing in illegals and you're bringing in homeless, when it comes time to
you get more representation, you get more congressmen in the
electoral votes
in the DC. You get more electoral votes, and you also get more government funding.
Right.
Yep.
You get a lot more power in Congress, and you have a lot more swing over the election. So what it does is it starts stealing electoral votes from other places that don't have the same population, even though it's not a tax-paying, contributing population. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
So that's why they brought him in. But the cleaning up, I'm surprised they're not sticking him up in hotels and stuff. I
don't know what they're doing. I really don't.
Well, and look, these people aren't homeless because of lack of housing or lack of opportunity for the most part. Folks are homeless because they have addiction problems.
Yep.
You don't if you want to talk about Will Smith and what's the movie where he's sleeping in the bathroom, which is a great story.
I do know what you're talking about.
Something about happiness or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, this is before he slapped Chris Rock.
Yep.
He plays good guys in real life. He smacks people for making fun of his wife.
Yep.
That's not what we're talking about here. And look, and yeah, Jewel sleeping in her car and things like, yes, that's 1% of the homeless population. Overwhelmingly, it's people with mental issues and drug addiction.
Yep, exactly.
It's people who would rather spend money on crack than rent. And until we address that issue, and it's not a supply. It's not a supply problem.
Yeah, the weather's
it's
so
a
nice
demand
out there
problem.
Yeah, and the weather's so nice in California. You can be homeless out there, but you're 100% right.
Yeah, I mean, if you are just trying to make ends meet, trying to find a home, you're not crapping on a sidewalk. You're crapping on the sidewalk because you're high.
Yep.
All right, so we have a plane crash in Wyoming. This is the family gospel group, the Nelsons. Not Nelson, which was a rock and roll band from the 80s. The Nelsons, they're a country-ish a gospel group out of Atlanta, very popular. I guess they were heading to get on an Alaskan cruise from one account. Crashed Friday afternoon, 3:00 Mountain Time.
Yes, and this was Jason Clark, Kelly. How do you say their last name? Is it Nellen? N-E-L-L-N?
Oh, sorry.
It's not Nelson.
Yeah, it's not Nelson. Sorry, it's Nellen.
Nellen Clark.
Sorry.
And their daughter, Amber Kistler, died on last Friday while taking a flight to perform on a cruise ship. And the biggest thing that affected Georgia here, which is so interesting, was or so sad, but the pilot, Larry Haney, died, and Larry was the chairman or the board chairman of the Department of Corrections here in Georgia. I know Governor Kemp issued a statement about that, but yeah, it was that's a big position in Georgia, being over the Department of Corrections.
And the aircraft was a single-engine turboprop.
Yep.
This is from my research department in the other room. Pilatus PC 12/47E, according to the AP.
Yep.
Very nice aircraft. And there's a video of their last stop. I think they were in I think they were in Montana or something. They kind of did a Facebook Live or something like that, but it shows all of them, including the pilot and his wife. The pilot and his wife were both in the plane. That's how I knew it wasn't a charter flight. It's like when they listed the pilot, it's like, okay, who's the co-pilot? And his wife was with him. It's like, oh, this was private, and it was his family's plane.
Yeah, this was a sad story. I think I've heard them sing before too. They were really popular, and it was interesting. They were going on a cruise ship. My mom's actually leaving on a cruise ship out of Seattle. She actually left last Friday. So, this goes back. I know we talk about airlines a lot, but this just goes back to I'm not flying anything except Delta. I don't know why people get up in these tiny planes.
Oh man, it's if you're rich enough and you have a Learjet, that's one thing.
Yep.
But even Payne Stewart, famous golfer Payne Stewart, died when his plane depressurized.
Yep.
They just went to sleep, and the plane was on autopilot, and it flew until it ran out of gas.
Yeah, that was really sad. That was a couple months after Payne Stewart won the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. I'm a big golfer, and I still remember that. And do you remember the jets pulled up beside the plane in the air, and they could just see people passed out inside?
Yeah, and there's nothing jets can do. I mean, it's not like
they just had to make sure it was going to go down without affecting people on the ground.
Yeah, and their last option would be to take it down.
Yep.
Which no pilot wants to down an American aircraft.
Yep, I agree.
I feel for the families, and I really feel for the one member of the Nellen band that was not on the flight.
Yeah, and I don't know. Yeah, she's still around.
Yeah, she and her husband were flying separately.
And I don't know if you saw this story last week too, but there was a teenage girl that decided not to go on a trip with her parents, and her two parents and two other siblings had a wreck, and all of them died last week too, I think that was a Georgia story, but that was really sad that she's left now without anybody, just on her own. Yeah, those kind of stories are just heartbreaking.
Really are, and it's reminiscent of the Richie Valens crash, where it came down to the flip of a quarter, and I think it was Waylon Jennings who gave up his seat to one of the guys. I don't know if it was the Big Bopper, who had a fever and was sick, and the bus didn't have heat, so he gave up his seat because he won the coin flip. Says, "No, you could take my seat," and he carried that guilt with him the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So this is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. All right, we had a few.
Yeah, it sounds like this is yours, right? Let me introduce this one since this is yours. It sounds like this could have been Joy off of whatever that crazy show she has. We've talked about her, Joy Behar, right?
No, Joy Reid.
Joy Reid. Or it could have been Jeff Duncan, because Jeff Duncan said that he endorsed, President Biden a while back, and now he said he was on the Kamala train. But you are picking Keith Olbermann this week.
Keith Olbermann. Oh man, the only place he lives now is on Twitter. If he gets 5 minutes on TV, he's just an attention whore. He really is. But he called on MLB to confiscate the Cardinals because he accused them of a Trump celebration.
Okay.
All right. So designated hitter Alec Burleson was trotting around the bases after a long home run against the Braves. And that sentence has been said a lot the last little while. And his teammates in the dugout put one hand over their right ears and a fist in the air. All right. So the celebration was a reference to Alec Burleson being a DJ in college.
And they thought it was some kind of support for Trump.
Right. So if you ever seen a DJ or electric music festival or anything like that, DJ will put one hand over his ear, his headphone, have one headphone off his ear so he could hear what is going on in the crowd, and then he'll have his hand pumping in the air along with the beat and getting the whole crowd to go. Olbermann is such a tool. I mean, he's a caricature of himself.
He is. I don't know if you saw this last week, but Bryson DeChambeau, who won the U.S. Open this year as his second major, had President Trump on his YouTube channel, and they just went out and played 18 holes of golf. And he took more flack over that of people saying, how can you support President Trump? How could you go play golf with him? And the episode is just amazing to watch. It just shows a very humanizing side of President Trump out there hitting a golf ball and joking around and cutting up and all that kind of stuff. But this is where we're getting to with the left, where they are trying to destroy people that show support for their political opponents is really disturbing. And I don't know when's it? Where's this headed?
They did play from the white tees.
They played from the red tees. Yeah,
red tees.
Yeah, they were trying to break 50 from the red tees, which is a really cool format. And it was a bunch of fun to watch. But look, I wouldn't think anything if one of my friends had lunch with, Barack Obama or President Biden, and I sure wouldn't try to cancel them or destroy their career. And I don't understand why the left continues. And it's not liberals again. This is not my liberal friends. This is the left. I mean, the left is so dangerous. And for them to continue going after their political opponents is disgraceful, and it's sickening, to be honest.
No, it's derangement. It absolutely is derangement.
It's total derangement.
I don't remember that with George W. Bush. Yes, there was a little bit with Obama, with the birth certificate thing and all that. I think some of the attacks on Michelle are uncalled for. Certainly think it's uncalled for to insult the looks of the first lady and things like that. But nothing like this, where even the plumber Joe, or whatever his name was, that sat down had the beer summit with Obama. No one went after him for how could you possibly sit with that man.
I know.
No, it was rather humanizing, and yes, Obama is a brilliant strategist when it comes to political acuity. He's absolutely brilliant with how to handle things. And instead of going after the guy, instead of defending himself, he's, hey, let's have a beer.
Yep, exactly.
And he humanized himself, and he was trying to demonstrate that we can have differences without hating each other. But what he was really saying was, look, you can still like me, you can still vote for me. You don't have to agree with everything I say. I'm a cool guy. Yep. Look at those stiffs over there. I'm cool. All right, Ken, let's get to it. The Biden speech, 10 minutes of BS.
It was. And supposedly, the way the media portrayed this is it was a live speech. And by the way, it wasn't live. It was pre-recorded. And the funniest thing is
nothing was live in that room.
Nothing was, there was very little anything live in that room. But we'll get into content in a minute. But what they showed on his watch is people started zooming in to see what time his watch said. And his watch said like 6 o'clock or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 6 p.m. And the speech was a little after 8. So, to me, I thought it was live. I thought it was a terrible speech. And then when I heard that it wasn't live, I said, good God, is this truly the best Biden could do in a pre-recorded format? And that's what made it really sad.
Unlimited takes.
Unlimited takes, and that was the best we got.
And it had to be done in one take, though.
And by the way,
it had to be done in one take. You couldn't have cuts.
Yeah, but by the way, we still don't know why Biden dropped out. I mean, he still hasn't told anybody, and that's what I was looking for in that speech, to say, why are you not running again? I mean, if it's your health, then why are you still president, right? I mean, that guy got a big fat dagger stabbed right in his back by the DNC political elites, and it at some point is as unscripted as Biden gets at times. I can't wait till he tells the truth about how they pushed him out, and you know it's coming. I mean, if Kamala loses, you know he's going to go off script at that point, and it's going to be bloody hell in the DNC.
He promised to end cancer before leaving office.
Yeah, that's going to happen pretty quick. I mean, what's he got, 6 months left?
I mean, I tell you what, he must have some awesome scientists in his back pocket.
Yes. I mean, he said that. He said he has fewer border crossings than Trump had on his last day. I mean, and the fact check, I mean, look, every time Republicans say something, there's 50 different fact checkers out there trying to prove it's incorrect or it's not telling the whole truth. I mean, heck, nobody says anything about what Biden's saying.
And this is something that everybody has glossed over. Reform the Supreme Court.
No, I know. Yeah, he wants to increase the size and have term limits.
He didn't go into any of that. All he said was reform the Supreme Court.
And it's truly amazing. The Supreme Court, from a constitutionalist point of view, had the best year they've ever had. I mean, they've had it for as long as I can remember. And that's what they just don't want. They want activist judges that are not deciding cases by like an originalist argument from a constitutional standpoint, and they don't like it right now. And they lost big time this go around, and yeah, they want to completely change around the Supreme Court. Yeah,
he doesn't have the votes to do it. You need 60 votes in the Senate to.
I don't even think so. I don't even think if he had 60 senators, he would. I don't even think the senators would do it, because what goes around comes around, right?
Right. And look, he wants to pack the court. That to me is what all the conservative commentators are glazing over on this part. Is it was a throwaway line. He mumbled through it, and as I was watching it, that one clicked. Like, whoa. Yeah, I understand. Look, you're not going to end cancer, and you're a liar. But to say that you want to reform the Supreme Court and you haven't said that for 4 years,
I know,
or for 3.5 years, you haven't said it. And as soon as you're not running for office anymore, now you want to pack the court.
And I think we can say at this point that Kamala is the nominee. I thought there might have been somebody come out against her, but everybody has endorsed her. All the political establishment has. I know Obama came out last Friday, I think, and endorsed her. The Clintons have endorsed her.
That's such a horrible video.
Yes, it is.
Have you seen it? Of the fake phone call?
It's terrible. It's terrible. But she's got it. And I really thought this was going to be more of an open convention, but they shut that down right away.
Well, Trump has said he's not going to commit to a debate until she's actually the nominee.
Yeah, which is smart. I mean, that's going to happen in a couple of weeks now, or 4. I think it's 4 weeks. They've got to have a virtual roll call. We've talked about it before. So.
Right. Once the roll call is done, that's it.
They've got to have a virtual roll call to get her on the ballot in Ohio and one other state. But yeah, that's going to be over the next Nevada. That's going to be over the next 7 to 10 days. So she's about to be the nominee. And they're saying she's going to be the first Black female president. She's dark skinned, but she is not Black. She's not African American by any stretch of the imagination.
Look, we've said it before. I'm so tired of the firsts.
Yes, I am too.
Tell me about your politics.
Yep.
She was by a neutral group voted the most liberal senator.
I know,
the most liberal.
And
I don't know how she's going to once they start hanging her record on her. And look, she hasn't been hit yet. I mean, Trump has said some stuff, but she hasn't been hit.
Yeah, but all the if you criticize her now, you're either racist or you're
misogynist.
Misogynist. They say, don't call her the DE&I pick, but even Biden said he picked her because she was a female of color. So everything that Biden has said that you can't say against her. So that's what we're going to have for the next 4 months, I guess. Is if you don't support Kamala, you're racist.
Well, and you're rewriting history because they're saying she was never the border czar.
Yep. Yeah, and Biden said she was the border czar. He put her in charge of the border. Now Democrats are like, nah, Biden never put her in charge of the border. Yes, he did.
There are hundreds of hours on recording of her saying she is, the press saying she is, Biden saying she is. Hundreds of hours.
Yep.
At least.
I know.
And look, she has not been hit yet. They are waiting till she is actually the nominee. And once that roll call vote happens, I think it's August?
Yeah, she hasn't been hit, but she does have a lot
something.
more momentum right now than Biden have. I mean, she has fired up her base where
it's the new car smell.
It is a new car smell, but I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like most people don't even know about Kamala. Look, I mean, we tend to think everybody's like us in regards to politics, but they're not. I mean, most people couldn't name the VP candidate or couldn't pick the VP candidate out in a lineup. So the question is going to be, are the attacks going to be effective? And are Republicans, are Democrats energized enough where they're going to get the vote out where they weren't before with Biden?
And I think this is one of the rare cases that her running mate is going to, really make a difference. And Mark Kelly is on the short list. Mark Kelly,
where's he from?
Former astronaut,
yes.
Arizona, I think.
Yeah, he's from Arizona. And then Josh Shapiro, which is the governor of Pennsylvania, is on a short list. Now, that's an interesting pick because she really needs, I think Pennsylvania's got 19 or 20 delegates. He is
electoral votes, yeah.
Electoral votes. Josh Shapiro is a Jew. And you know how the left is right now. They're very anti-Israel. So it would be very, very interesting. She picked them, even though she is married to a white guy that is Jewish. And I don't think anybody on her side of the house knows that. But I think Shapiro, Mark Kelly, I mean, she's got to pick a governor from a critical state that could potentially win that state for her. I still think it's going to be Shapiro.
It could be. It could be. I just think Mark Kelly would help nationally because he's universally liked.
How many people do you think know Mark Kelly?
Once they put him out there, they start putting those pictures of
put
him.
The astronaut photos.
You're damn right they will.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
And Vice President being the head of NASA,
yep.
by doctrine, that would be the cerebral pick.
Yep.
Now,
exactly.
Harris is not over cerebral. I also don't think Harris is calling the shots here.
I mean, yeah.
So, all right, Kenny, as we are about to run out of time, you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting with J.D. Vance last week, which is the VP, pick for President Trump. He had, according to Democrats, a terrible week. There were some clips of, things that he said back in 2021, 2020 about people that don't have children. I think they're probably misconstruing his words as usual, but it kind of lends itself to, was he vetted enough, and did they really look back into things that J.D. Vance has said? And if something else comes out, is Trump going to keep him on the ticket? So it would be interesting.
It's a little late now, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, can he remove a VP candidate? I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see, but.
I mean, the ballots are in. I mean, the ballots are printed.
No, yeah. I mean, they're not printed in Georgia yet.
Oh, no. I mean, what I'm saying is according to, they'd have to have, the convention would have to sign off on it.
Yeah, it would just be interesting. And I think I like J.D. Vance so far from what I've seen. And the liberal media is going to attack anybody, but he really didn't have a good week out there. So we'll have to see where this goes over the next few weeks.
And look, this is the media's privilege right now because of the timing and the fact that nobody's hitting Kamala yet.
Yep, exactly.
Once she's the actual nominee, all gloves are off. They're going to start hitting her left and right with haymakers. They're going to start putting her, raising money to get the George Floyd rioters out of jail. oh, you're a prosecutor, then why were you raising bail money for all these people that were burning? Oh, you're pro cop. Look, cops have come out and said, listen, this would be a disaster for her to be president.
Yeah, I think it will.
Look,
I think she's a lot further left than Biden was, and it will be a disaster if she's president.
Well, the other thing I'll say is, if you like what you heard, please like and share us on the socials. Please inflict us on your friends. If you don't like what you heard, like and share us anyway. So, big thank you to Eric Cumby, our editor, who takes this awful audio and turns it into something you can listen to. To my partner, Ken Poland, I'm Dave Roberts. We'll talk to you next week.